Let's explain what made American history so important to me. America is the first country in human history where the people were free from fear of being persecuted by their government for no other reason than being different. The idea of freedom was new and powerful. The founding fathers were intelligent who started this great experiment in democracy. They had the foresight to establish a constitution that would protect each citizen from persecution based on their religion or race. In short, it guarantees everyone's right to be treated equally regardless of how they look or where they come from. Outside of early America was seen as I'm back. Galena has defeated the Crystal Dragon. There's a slight chance she may die. If we lose her, then the Crystal Dragon will take up residence inside the kingdom. We have to stop it before it happens. George Washington was a strong leader who believed in the power of his nation. He kept his country united even while facing many threats. You see, there were several European countries that wanted to invade America because of its strategic location along the coastline. Other founding fathers were worried about the loss of freedom, but he said, America has never been invaded by another country. We now live in a world where you can travel anywhere in the world without fear of getting shot or blown up. King George used our country's resources wisely and kept us safe from foreign invasion. My name is Tariq and I'm a member of the Knights of the Kingdom. We fight to preserve the rights of all citizens. A revolt happens in Boston. It was called the Boston Massacre. The British soldiers were accused of killing 5 innocent colonists. The colonists were angry about taxes and wanted to form their own country. The king sent troops to put down the rebellion. John Adams was one of the leaders of the group. The shot heard around the world happened during the Boston Massacre. An unknown man with a rifle fired at a British officer. It created a spark which resulted in the beginning of the American Revolution. Our ancestors fought bravely against the British Empire. The Battle of Delaware River took place here. This is the bloodiest battle ever in American history. We won because we had more soldiers and guns. The Battle of Bunker Hill was a turning point in the war. The Articles of Confederation. You know, George, the Americans are a tough bunch. What you did to them back then wasn't enough to win their loyalty. They're still loyal to England. Why don't we give them something bigger to celebrate? What did George Washington do after the Battle of Delaware River? George Washington was a humble man. His wife, Martha, died in 1799. He didn't want to remarry because he wanted to keep his house. He became the President of the United States in 1789. The Constitution of America was created in 1776. During the presidency of George Washington, the country was divided into 2 groups. The Federalists supported the central government and the Democratic Republicans were opposed. The Federalist Party used words such as liberty and self-government to appeal to the masses. The Democratic Republicans were successful in winning elections because they were able to use the word democracy. Democracy is when the people get what they deserve. If you vote for a Republican, you're going to get a Democrat. Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. It declared that the 13 colonies were no longer part of Great Britain. The people in charge of drafting the Declaration included John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, and Robert Livingston. Slave trade in America was abolished in 1807. The Constitution of the United States was passed in 1787. In 1828, Andrew Jackson was elected president. He was known for being a strong leader. He fought against corruption among the elite class. Then the Civil War happened. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln became president. He was also a humble man. He believed in equality. Lincoln helped lead the country out of the Civil War. The Emancipation Proclamation declared that slaves were free. Abraham was also hated by the South. He was called a tyrant. The southern states seceded from the Union. They formed their own country. That's why we have the Confederate States of America. After the Civil War ended, the South lost. The economy grew rapidly. The Civil War is over. We finally won. But we lost thousands of soldiers. This was quite time for Americans until WW1 brought the First Global War. The Allies were victorious. World War II saw the death of 6 million Jews, 8 million Russians, and 4 million Christians. The Nazis were evil. I always wondered why they hated us so much. Nuclear bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war ended with Germany surrendering. My hometown was bombed in 1945 during World War II. The US dropped nuclear weapons on Japan. This was the most destructive weapon invented by humans. The Great Depression hit America hard in 1929. It lasted for 10 years. It was the worst economic disaster in human history. There were no jobs and everyone was poor. Everyone blamed the bankers. The banks were bailed out by the government. When the Great Depression ended, the stock market went up again. What is the most valuable resource in the world? The answer is oil. Oil is used to run cars, trucks, planes, and ships. In 1901, the Standard Oil Company was broken up by the government. The Cold War began in 1947. It's a rivalry between the Soviet Union and the United States. The Cold War was a long-term conflict. The United States and Russia were not allies. They both wanted to expand their influence. Did nuclear bombs drop on America during the Cold War? Yes, they did. The atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in August 1945. 3 days later, the city of Nagasaki was destroyed in another bombing raid. The war ended with a treaty in 1963. When did the Berlin Wall fall? West Germany and East Germany separated in 1989. In 1867, Canada became a province of the British Empire. Canadian history in 1867. Canada was originally part of New France. Soviet Union disbanded in 1991. The collapse of the Soviet Union meant that communism was over. Communism was a political system that promised equality for everyone. It also discouraged private ownership of property. The Soviet Union collapsed after Mikhail Gorbachev failed to reform the economy. In September 11, 2001, an incident happened. Terrorists attacked the Twin Towers in New York City. The buildings fell down. Hundreds of innocent people died. Why were Muslims hated in America? Muslims are a minority religion. Most Americans don't like anyone who's different from them. What did Americans do to terrorists and Muslims? Americans bombed the Taliban government. They were also responsible for killing Osama bin Laden. The Cold War ended in 1990. Russia was dismantled. Its government was changed to a democratic republic. In 1919, Lenin came back to Russia from exile. Current America history in 2018. America is a country full of immigrants. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Americans are welcoming to outsiders. If you come to America, we'll help you. That is history of America. My name is Tarek and I'm a member of the Knights of the Kingdom. We fight to preserve the rights of all citizens. A revolt happens in Boston. It was called the Boston Massacre.